pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting of the Old Bridge Township Zoning Board of Adjustment is provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of the meeting by one, prominently posting in the municipal complex an announcement giving the time, date, location, and agenda of this meeting. Two, mailing such announcement to the home using Tribune. And three, filing a copy of such announcement with the municipal clerk. Before we start with the roll call, Ms. Silverman, I do have to swear in 4 members who will be reappointed to the board. So if Benjamin Stoner, John Dewhurst, Doreen Chevalier, and Leon Esconio, please rise and raise your right hands, I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution for the State of New Jersey, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that you will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of member of the Zoning Board of Adjustment, either as full member or alternate, according to the best of your ability, so help you God? Okay, congratulations. Ms. Silverman, if you can please call the roll.
Ms. Chevalier?
Here.
Ms. Killa? Here. Ms. Scogno?
Here.
Ms. Thompson?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Here.
Mr. Stoner?
Here.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Here.
Mr. Sachs?
Here.
Mrs. Shapiro? Here. Mrs. Sawant?
Here.
Mr. Lavallo?
Here.
Mr. Darche?
Here.
Ms. Drum?
Here.
Mr. Kay? No nays?
here.
All right, we're going to start our reorganization for the upcoming year for 2019. And the first nomination that I would like to entertain is for chairman of the zoning board for the year 2019. Are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate James Sullivan.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so it's nominated by Mr. Walker, seconded by Mr. Thompson. Are there any other further nominations? None? Okay, I'll close the nominations. Ms. Silverman, if you could please call the roll.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Killa?
Yes.
Mrs. Scogno?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman. I'll hand you over the gavel.
Thank you. I thank the board for the confidence in allowing me to chair the board in 2019. Thank you again. We'll move on to the next nomination. That would be for vice chairman. We'll accept nominations, and it would be my honor to again nominate Bruce Walker for vice chairman.
Second.
Moved in second. Is there any other further nominations?
Who just seconded?
I second.
Thompson? Hearing none, I'll close it. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Killa?
Yes.
Mrs. Scogno?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Nomination will be for secretary.
I would like to nominate John Dewhurst for secretary.
John Dewhurst for secretary. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Thompson. Is there any other nominations? I'll close the nomination for secretary. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Killa?
Yes.
Mr. Scogno?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. The next nomination will be for vice secretary. I'll nominate Kim Silverman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Chevalier. Is there any further nomination? You know nobody wants your job. I'll close the nomination for vice secretary. Please call the roll.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Killa?
Yes.
Mrs. Scogno?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Item 3 on the agenda would be the appointment of an attorney. The board, obviously, for those in the public here, uses the legal advice of a paid professional. The rest of us are just civilian residents of the township. We need that advice. We need a paid lawyer here to make sure that we don't do things that might harm ourselves or the township. Probably not in that order, but at least in my opinion, it would be myself or the township. In that event, as appointment of attorney, I would like to nominate Lawrence B. Sachs of East Brunswick for the year 2019.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Walker. Is there any further nominations? I'll close the nominations. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Stovall?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Duvall?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. There comes a time when the board has to make use of outside consultants for various reasons, whether availability and/or conflict, but we often have to, in our applications, we have the need for advice from planners, from engineers, from traffic engineers. So we have to appoint, in the event that we do need them during the year, various professionals. And the first one we will do, before I do that, we also want to appoint a backup attorney in the event that that would be needed, in the event Mr. Sachs
Yeah,
couldn't be present.
that would be for a conflict, if there's a conflict.
Right,
so,
and it would
yeah,
be conflict
right,
only in
right,
his
right,
case.
Right.
Having done so, the following, when I announce this name and I announce other names under appointment of consultants, these have all been, they've applied to the township, they've been approved by council and endorsed for the usage, should the board vote favorably and name them. In this case, I have the name of Kelly M. Carey from the DeFrancisco Bateman firm in Warren. This would be as
Conflict attorney, and actually, Ms. Carey is presently the planning board attorney, so
Correct,
she's
yes.
familiar with the municipality, so.
So having said that, can I get someone to nominate Ms. Carey from DeFrancisco Bateman?
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Stoner seconds. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Stovall?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Duvall?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. And approved by the council at their organization meeting, we're going to move on to planner consultants, where 3 names. I'm going to read each one individually for planner for the year 2019 as a consultant, and then we'll vote on them individually. The first one I have in no particular order is Mark A. Remsa from Mount Laurel. Someone want to move that name?
I'll move it.
Is there a second for that?
Second.
Moved in second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Stovall?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Duvall?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. The second name is from the Environmental Resolutions, Inc. That's Timothy Kalani. Almost. That firm, their firm is located in Mount Laurel. I offer that name for a nomination.
Motion.
Second.
Moved in second, Mr. Stoner on the second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Stovall?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Duvall?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. And finally, I have Harbor Consultants, the firm out of Cranford, New Jersey, for a consultant planner. Someone want to move that nomination?
I'll move it.
Mr. Stoner, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Kilduff. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Stovall?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Duvall?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. We next come to traffic consultants. Obviously, just another phase of applications for those in the public that gets looked at, the engineering, the planning of it, the traffic. And under that traffic, 2 have been recommended and endorsed by the township. I will offer their names individually. CME Associates for traffic consultant. They're located in Howell, New Jersey. Someone want to move that?
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Stoner. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Keller?
Yes.
Mr. Stovall?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Duvall?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. And again, the second one would be Traffic Planning and Design, Inc., Deanna Drum, located in Camden, New Jersey. Is there, someone want to move that for nomination?
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Keller?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Engineering consultants, we have two names recommended. I'm going to read them individually. The first would be Environmental Resolutions, Inc., Rakesh Darji, the firm located in Mount Laurel. Someone want to move it?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Stoner. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Killalow?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Also, Delaware Raritan Engineering, Inc., William O'Barra, Freehold Township. Someone want to move that?
I'll move it.
And I'll second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Killalow?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. And if you have an agenda in front of you, you'll see forestry services there. And for the public, what does that mean? Well, when areas are taken down and woods have to be cleared, there's certain trees and areas that I don't know the technicality that they know, but that they're not to be touched, and they can't be. And we need the advice of someone in that line of work. The township has recognized and has received application from, I'll read the name in, it's CAFS, which is Chestnut Arboricultural and Forestry Services LLC, Gary Lavala, out of Old Bridge, New Jersey. Does someone want to move that name?
I'll move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Chevalier and second by Mr. Thompson. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Killalow?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. That comes to item number 5 on the agenda is the adoption of Board Rules and Regulations 2019. Board members, everyone has received a copy. I'm sure we're all familiar with it, as everyone here has been seated on this board prior to tonight. I would ask someone to move that into the record for adoption. Motion, Ms. Kilduff. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Dewhurst. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Killalow?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoner?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. I thank all the board members, and I welcome everybody back for another year. It's nice to, also, I welcome all the professionals back for another year, Mr. Sachs, as well as our in-house professionals and our outside consultants. We look forward to your advice. And Mr. Lavallo, you as well. Happy New Year to everyone. We'll start the regular meeting at this time. Item 6 is the minutes from December 20th, 2018. Board members, I hope everyone has had a chance to review them. Absent any comments or deletions or suggestions of adding, I would ask someone to move them into memorialization. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call as to the minutes, December 20.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Killalow?
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Item number 7, extension of time, 1509Z, Northwood Manor at Old Bridge LLC. Mr. Sachs?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and also I just want to thank the board for reappointing me for this year and expressing all your confidence in me. This is, applicant is Northwood Manor at Old Bridge LLC, application 15-09C, requesting an extension pursuant to NJSA 40:55D-52 under the municipal land use law. This is an application that was actually approved almost 10 years ago. Let me just read the dates in here. Whereas the applicant Northwood Manor at Old Bridge LLC received a preliminary and final major subdivision with use and bulk variance approval from the Zoning Board of Adjustment of the Township of Old Bridge on May 7, 2009, which was memorialized by resolution dated June 18, 2009, and final major subdivision approval from the Zoning Board of Adjustment of the Township of Old Bridge on October 7, 2010, which was memorialized by resolution dated December 16, 2010, and amended on April 7, 2011, and memorialized April 7, 2011, and applied for extension July 21, 2016, and December 21, 2017. The applicant now requests an additional extension of those approvals for a period of 1 year pursuant to NJSA 40:55D-52, and whereas Northwoods Manor has indicated it was prevented from proceeding forward with said plan approval due to delays in finalizing a builder or contractor for the site. The request is to grant them an extension for an additional 1 year, which would go from 1 year from today. So that would be from January 10, 2019. It would go for 1 year. Actually, Ms. Silverman, I think you gave them a little less than 1 year. That's all right. December 31, 2019, so they'll be short by 10 days. So basically, we just need a motion to adopt this. I will state that maybe we should indicate to Northwood that they're, yeah, they're dipping into the well a little too far, so I don't have a problem recommending that you do it for another year. And by the way, I'll make that recommendation only because the Permit Extension Act only recently lapsed maybe a year or so ago, so therefore, they're probably entitled to have this 1 year extension, but I think anything past that, they probably should come back before this board, but anyway.
We thank you, Mr. Sachs, for that comment, and I would agree with you wholeheartedly. Board members, you've heard the resolution. Absent any questions, does someone want to move it?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
No.
Ms. Kendall?
Yes.
Mr. Scarlett?
No. Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Item 8, resolutions. We have two to start. 4217Z DSZ LLC.
Yes.
Mr. Sachs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is application 42-17Z DSZ LLC, property located block 22000, lot 2511, 301-303 John Wall Road. Public hearings were held on August 2nd, 2018, and November 1st, 2018. Property is located in the CN Neighborhood Commercial Zone. Subject property located at 301-303 John Wall Roads. It is bounded by John Wall Road to the south, Englishtown Road to the west. Site is comprised of a single tract of land containing 10.09 acres located in the CN zone. Site presently contains several buildings and as well as single-family homes along John Wall Road, and a one-story building and greenhouse located along Englishtown Road, and two farm storage masonry buildings located closer to the northerly property line. The applicant proposes to operate an office/fabrication/warehouse use on the subject property. Additionally, the applicant proposes to retain the one-story and two-story single-family homes along John Wall Road, and the one-story building and greenhouse located along Englishtown Road, and two farm storage masonry buildings located closer to the northerly property line. This was an application whereby there was it was a bifurcated application, so the board only voted on the use variance of this aspect. But just to indicate what they planned on doing, constructing a 12,000 square foot office fabrication warehouse building on the westerly side of the two existing farm storage masonry buildings. One is 7,852 square feet, and the other is 8,320 square feet. Constructing a paved parking area containing 10 delineated parking spaces and 11 banked parking spaces. Constructing a 24-foot wide combined access driveway to provide access to the proposed use. As the proposed fabrication warehouse use is not permitted in the CN zone, a D1 use variance was required. A D2 use variance, which was for an expansion of a nonconforming use, is also sought to continue the use of the existing residential structures. There were various witnesses who testified at this hearing. Mr. David Zimmerman, a principal of the applicant, Ms. Lisa Zimmerman, also principal of the applicant, Mr. John Plaskanka, who provided professional engineering testimony, Mr. John Chadwick, who provided planning testimony. The application was approved on November 1st with all the standard conditions. This applicant will be required to come back to this board for preliminary and final site plan approval before doing any of the proposed construction on site. So that's the resolution before you this evening.
Board members, you've heard the resolution. Someone want to move it for memorialization?
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved in second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Kendall?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Yes. 43-18Z, Vikram Patel. Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Vikram Patel, application 43-18Z, property located block 13306, lot 43, 3 Thrush Court. This was an application that was heard on December 6th. The property is located in the R20 cluster zone. The applicant was applying for C variance and D4 use variance, floor area ratio variance relief to construct a 357 square foot addition on the front and a 286 square foot addition on the second floor of the existing home. The addition will include a kitchen and bathroom on the first floor, bedroom on the second floor. The R20 zone permits an FAR of .33. The existing home has a floor area of 2,343 square feet, which translates to an FAR of .30. The proposed addition of 671 square feet will increase the FAR from .30 to .38, and therefore a D4 use variance is required. As well, there was a C variance for minimum rear yard setback, 25-foot minimum, 30-foot existing, 15 feet proposed. Mr. Patel testified at the hearing, indicated that the reason for the expansion was to provide additional living space for his expanded family, including his elderly parents. He also noted that his home is presently one of the smaller homes in the neighborhood, and from a streetscape appearance will be similar to other adjacent homes and will not be out of character in the surrounding area. There were no special conditions attached to this, just the standard conditions, and you're voting for the memorialization this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Board members, you've heard the resolution. Someone want to move for memorialization?
Motion.
Second?
Moved in second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Kayla? Yes. Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Under Resolutions Board, we have now for the consulting engineers, the consulting planners, the consulting traffic professionals, the forestry services, and the zoning board attorneys. Going to move it as a block unless anybody has a problem with that? Okay. We'll ask someone to move for the resolutions for memorialization for all of the aforementioned.
Make a motion?
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Kayla? Yes. Mr. Stoner? Yes. Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewey?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. Okay, we move on to item 9, which would be our applications for the evening. We're going to go slightly out of order because we have some residents here that we think we should probably get moving quickly. And you'll see why in a moment. The first one I'm going to call is 44, and I wasn't making fun, by the way. 44-18Z, it's Morzio and Michelle DiMaggio, correct? Please come forward. This is at 17 Walnut Court. It's an R12 zone. They're seeking a D variance for converting an existing garage into a living space.
Okay.
Both of you are going to testify. The board attorney will swear you both in, okay?
All right, so both of you, please raise your right hands. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, please state your name, spelling your last names and addresses for the record.
Maurice DiMaggio, D-I-M-A-G-G-I-O.
Michelle DiMaggio, D-I-M-A-G-G-I-O,
And your address, please?
17 Walnut Court.
Please be seated.
Yeah, have a seat.
No,
No,
here.
here.
Oh, no, here.
Here. Have a seat here.
That way you're on wheels, too. We can get you out to the ambulance just as quick.
We don't want that.
We don't want that either, no. All right.
Congratulations, by the way. And when is the baby due?
Tomorrow.
Okay. Now you see the reason why I wanted to move this first, okay?
All right. Before we start, because this does require technically a use variance, it's called a floor area ratio variance. Generally, we have attorneys are required to represent applicants on those type of applications. However, you can certainly waive your right to have an attorney. You can certainly waive your right to have a court reporter here as well, which is, and I'm assuming that's what you'd like to do this evening?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so,
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. We understand what you want to do, so what we'd like you to do is tell the board why you're doing this, how you're going to accomplish this. If you have any exhibits, I'm going to ask you to give them to Ms. Silverman. If you don't, that's fine, too. The procedure will be, we'll listen to you. We're going to ask the professionals why you need a variance. They're going to give us some advice. We may have questions of you. They may have questions of you. The board attorney may have questions from you. When all that's done, if you feel comfortable, I'm going to go to the public on the matter, see if anybody objects to this. And then, if you want, we'll take a vote. Okay? Sounds pretty easy?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Why don't you start?
We're doing this because my father-in-law lives with us, and he's a little handicapped. He's having a hard time going up and down the stairs. We just moved out here in September from Staten Island, so I'm looking to convert the garage to a bedroom for him and a bathroom, so he doesn't have to go up and down anymore. And that's why we're doing it.
Tell us a little bit about your house. I guess that's the picture that's on the report that
Yeah,
we have, right?
it's a 4-bedroom house, 2.5 baths, and all the bedrooms are on the second floor, of course. And it's got a in-ground pool in the yard and a 2-car garage.
So if you converted this, he'd be able to have his own living space in there? Is that what
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
want?
he's gonna be able to go just from the TV room right into his room right there on the first floor.
And what would you be doing for plumbing for him and a bathroom? Would that be in there, or?
Yeah, it'll be inside that space, in the garage space, yes.
We don't have any plans for it, correct?
Yeah, we do.
Other than what I have? Oh, okay. Mrs. Maggio, you have anything you want to add right now? Anything you want to say? Okay. You okay?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry that he's making
Okay.
this noise.
So, no, don't worry about that. We're worried about the other kind of noise. I'm going to go to the professionals. Ms. Sawant, could you help us out on this and let us know what's going on?
Yes. I just have one question for the applicant. Do you know what's the exact square footage of your lot? Because there is some discrepancy. Like the data I had shows it's 11,680 square feet, whereas the tax data has it as 11,360. So the only reason I'm asking is it kind of impacts the requested FAR teeny bit. So do you have that information?
No, offhand, I did submit a survey.
Okay.
Should show it on there, right?
Right.
Survey, I believe.
No, but that's the thing. The survey has a different number, and so to be on the safer side, board, we take the more conservative approach, and by that, the requested FAR is 0.23, whereas the zone allows 0.21. But I want to bring this to your attention that the house is kind of smaller than what they could have built at 0.21. So right now, the existing home is at 0.19, whereas 0.21 is permitted. By adding this garage into their living space, it bumps it up to 0.23. But it, like size-wise, the house is not out of character. It is in sync with the neighborhood. The only question I have is your driveway adequate enough to park 2 cars? And architecturally, are they going to do anything to prevent the cars from bumping into that wall because it's a bedroom?
On the outside, I want to leave the front the same because I don't want to
Okay.
change the front
Right.
architecture. On the inside, I'm going to have a wall, of course,
Okay.
insulated and all that. And my driveway could hold 4 cars.
I was going to say, yeah, you probably could.
Looks from the picture like you can easily hold
Yes,
4, right?
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
You understand what the planner's saying, that you might want to think about putting something in the event somebody came
Go into
in
it.
and went through that wall. If you just have a sheet rock wall there, there'd be nothing to hold anything back. I think that's what we're getting
Yes,
at, right?
Yes, yes, that's right.
It's probably a good consideration.
I'll talk to the architect and see what he
Yeah,
recommends.
just to
putting on the
prevent
inside.
something inside the wall that,
Right, maybe some steel or something.
you know, a
Bollard,
ballard of some sort.
bollard.
inside,
Yeah.
Do that?
Anything else,
That's
Ms. Swan?
That's it.
Ms. Shapiro, you have anything on this?
No.
Okay. Board members, to my left.
I'm going to heat it with the existing hot air furnace I have. Yeah. Yeah, I spoke to a professional about that, and he says the unit's big enough to handle that space.
Oh, yeah. good idea. Mr. Stagno, was there anything else? Okay. Anybody else on my left? How about on my right? Any questions?
Actually,
Mr. Sachs?
yeah, just one question. Would you agree, if this application is approved, that this will not be used for any commercial purposes?
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's not commercial.
So it could never be, you couldn't turn it into a rental unit, in other
Nope.
words? It can only
No.
be your family member. but-
No, I wouldn't.
Okay?
No.
That'll be a condition.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anything else, Mr. Sachs?
Good.
Okay, the board members don't have anything, the professionals don't have anything. I'm going to go to the public, okay? All right. This is matter 4418Z. The location is 17 Walnut Court, converting an existing garage into a living space. Is there anyone here in the room this evening who wants to be heard? You're lucky, nobody wants to be heard. Okay. I'll close the public portion. And you have any final comments?
No.
No, none? You just want to go, I know. Board members, if there are no further comments or questions, I'd ask someone to move this either for approval or denial.
Motion
This is
approval.
this is for a D1.
D4.
D4, I'm sorry. Floor area ratio.
Moved by
Motion
Mr.
for
Walker.
approval.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Blair?
Yes.
Ms. Kibble?
Yes.
Mr. Stoner?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. I wish you all the best with your project and with your new baby.
Thank
You can't do anything until you get a resolution, which won't be until next month. You understand that, right? Make sure you talk to the building department. And best of luck to you. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Sorry for the,
Thank
Don't
you.
be sorry. Good luck. If you want to take the chair, take the chair. Go ahead.
thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. You can name the new baby variants. All right. The second application is 4118Z, Romario Paramaraju. I hope I'm going to say that right, or you'll tell me how to, all right? This location is 8 Ponderosa Lane. It's for a sunroof over an existing patio. This is in the R12 zone. It's going to require a C and a D variance. Sir, would you pronounce your last name for me?
It's Pamaraju.
Emiraju.
Pamaraju.
Yeah, and you can just call me Ram.
Okay, sir. Board attorney's going to swear you in. Anybody else going to testify?
Yeah, my wife Sunita.
Okay.
And my builder, Brian Adams.
Okay, that's
He'll
fine.
handle the,
All right, why don't we swear all three of you in? If you can all please raise your right hand. Just swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, please state your name, spelling your last name, address for the record.
Ram, Pamaraju.
We'll start over here.
Okay.
Sunita Pamaraju, 8 Ponderosa Lane, Old Bridge.
Wait, can
Hold
you
on.
spell?
Sunitape,
Wait,
N as in Nancy, I, T as in Tom, A.
and same last name.
Yeah.
Sir?
Ram, Pamaraju, 8 Ponderosa Lane, Old Bridge, New Jersey,
R-A-N.
08857. And the first name is R-A-M. And the
Oh,
last
I
name.
know, I had yours
You
right
have
now.
my last name.
okay.
Right.
And finally?
And Brian Adams, ADAMS,
How you spelling the Brian?
with an I. B-R-I-A-N. Not like the singer, he's spelled it with a Y.
And you are related?
I'm NJSA Sunrooms, I hope to construct this sunroom for them.
This thing,
That's all right.
expert.
It's not really an expert, he's a lay witness. He's
Okay.
You
yeah,
have a
yeah.
business card later, I'll get it.
Okay. Why doesn't everybody be seated?
Thank you.
Board attorney just has a little advice.
Yes, all right, and, well, Mr. and Mrs. Pamaraju, of course, I think I mentioned it before, we do require a court reporter to be present on all D4 variances. There's actually, I think, several here this evening somewhere, but we don't, you can waive your right to have a court reporter.
Yeah, we waive that.
All right, you will waive that right, okay, that's fine.
Okay? All right, we'll proceed. You were here, and you probably heard what I advised the other family about. It's a formal proceeding, but we try to make it a little bit less formal for you as residents because you're not represented. So what we're just going to ask you to do is tell us what you want to do, why you're doing this. We're going to find out from the professionals why you need a variance. And then again, we may have some questions from the board that we'll ask you, or we may not. The professionals may, or the attorney may. If everything goes good, I'm going to go to the public portion. I'll see if anybody stands in opposition. We'll have to listen to them. Absent that, we'll come back, and if you want to take a vote, we'll take a vote. Okay? So you can proceed at your own pace, whether you're going to have this gentleman speak on your behalf, or if you want to start, maybe we may have some questions of him as well.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I'll
sir.
just start. So basically what I want to do is that I just want to build a sunroom. This is on a portion of existing patio. And on that we're building a deck, and the deck will be enclosed with a sunroom, and it will just have power. And it will not require any water, will not require any kind of sewage will not require even the existing heat. So just power for light, and it'll be heated through a heater. And the whole intent is that, we are getting old, and we just want to have a space that we, stay outside and enjoy the sunlight just throughout the year. I do plan to retire soon, and I've been living in Old Bridge for like 24 years, and want to retire here, and don't want to necessarily live anywhere far away in the south or anywhere. So I would like to enjoy as much of the sunlight as I can just throughout the time, and that is the purpose of it. And we're just trying to make it as less intrusive as we can. So it is existing patio, so there's no increase to the impervious coverage, and we're just taking a portion of it, building a deck, and on the deck, enclosing the deck with just windows, with just like a sunroom.
How big's the deck? Oh, is he going to tell us? Okay. We'll get to him in a minute. Do you have anything else you want to tell us?
Yeah, and the thing is, there are other houses in the area which have extensions. There's one which is right next to ours, which has an extension. And so this is just on the back, and not really changing, anything much.
Mrs., anything you want to add?
Yeah, we just want to have light and enjoy it through the year. That's the main reason. And also, since it's at the back, there's no house right behind us.
What is behind you?
It's just walkway, and then there are some townhomes away. So I don't think there's going to be any privacy issues for anybody with that sunroom coming up.
All right. Would you like to have this gentleman explain to us what it's going to look like and what it's made of? Sir?
Yes, as Mr. Pomeraju has explained to you, one of the reasons is his house in the rear is quite dark, and I think he's explained quite well the need for having it. You asked the question of the size of it. On the plans, it shows it in inches, but the feet, it's 19 feet projection and 17 feet wide. That goes over a portion of the existing paved area. So as he stated, and it hasn't come up, a need for impervious coverage. The way we've designed it, if you look at the plans, we've tried to meld it in with the existing roof line. So the ridge point of the new sunroom it marries up with the existing sloping roof that's already there. So we try to do it so aesthetically it looks like it's part of the existing house. There is a lot of windows on it, and that's the reason why they want it, because they want it as because as I said, the existing house is quite dark. They want it so they get a nice light, airy room that they can use throughout the year. It's going to be a new deck type flooring, which is going to be insulated and covered up to code, and that's about it. The roof, as I say, we're going to put shingles on the roof, which is going to be exactly the same as the shingles that it's abutting. So as I said, it all flows through in that. Unless there's any more questions, I think that's all I can think of at the moment.
There's no windows on the roof itself? It'd be a solid roof with...
Solid roof with shingles.
Okay. The light would come through all the glass?
All windows, and the trapezoid windows are at the front. Where we've got the peak there, we're putting trapezoid windows
I see that, yeah.
in there.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell us right now, sir?
I don't think so. I think...
Brian with an I, that's like
With an
myself.
I.
I have an I, Brian, my middle name. I'll go to the professionals. Ms. Sawant.
So the existing home has a slightly higher FAR than what is permitted in the zone. So the house is slightly larger than what would have been permitted in the zone. I believe in 2008, the applicant was in front of the zoning board for a use variance for an expansion. And the expansion included a bedroom, some office space, and laundry room. The variances they're asking, yes, the FAR, they were already at a slightly higher, and this is roughly 0.28, so they need a higher FAR. Setback-wise, I noticed that they are correct. The neighbor's house also has some sort of an expansion at the back, and probably it is at the same setback as what they are proposing. I didn't have the actual dimensions. I noticed that the revised plans show 18.5 feet. I don't know what the neighbor has, but from the aerials, it appears that it's roughly the same setback. So it's quite consistent, although it's to the rear side. But that's basically it. The homeowners association has already approved their application, and I don't believe it really impacts the street elevations with what they're doing. So
And to the back, there's nothing behind them, correct?
there are townhomes, but then they have their property setback line, and then the townhomes have their rear yard setback,
There's a walkway between.
and there's a walkway in between.
So that's a common area, that's not on their lot, I guess? It's probably not part of their lot, I would
No,
think. It's a common area. Existing, it says 36 on the rear yard, and it's going to go down to approximately 20?
Yeah. So it's, I see it on their plans now, it's roughly 18.5 feet.
Okay. Board members, did you get that? Okay. Ms. Spear, you have anything?
No, I do not.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Warren?
That's it.
Mr. Sachs, you have any questions?
Just to confirm, there'll be no plumbing and no heating?
No, well, the thing is that the heating will be through power. You
It's
wanna
it's got a
explain?
space heating, it's a self-contained unit, much like they have in hotels, so it does
Gotcha.
the heating,
All right.
just to heat that area. No, we're not tapping off the existing, not doing it.
All right, so it's sort of an electric
Electric,
heater, it's an
yeah.
electric heater, no
Yeah.
plumbing, that's fine, okay.
Okay, and then can't be used,
Well, it's a sunroom, so I'm okay with no other conditions. I don't think there'll be any business conducted.
a spa? What about a spa? We don't need to make light of that, but every now and then we have to. Anything else? How about board members on my right? No? Board members on my left?
Will you be able to close off the sunroom from the existing house?
That's up to Mr. Panario. I mean, by code, we can leave it open, because there's 5 classifications for sunrooms, and 4 and 5 allow the physical barrier to be removed, because it's a solid SIPS panel roof, and it is allowable to have the heating unit in there and to have it opened up. So, well, if they choose to open it up, it is permittable. So that's just a question of choice. So it would be approved by the building department.
Was that heating unit, air conditioning, can that be mounted in the sunroom?
Yes.
Or must be mounted on the
No,
factory?
in the sunroom itself, it's a, have you ever been to in a hotel, you get one by the
Look,
door?
it looks like.
It's the same sort of thing. It's mounted so that it goes directly to the outside.
And the electrical, we also have to carry in there also, right?
The electrical, so I'm sorry.
Electrical.
Yes, there's electric in there as well. There's going to be a light in the centre, probably a fan or something like that on it. And obviously, we have to have an exterior light because there's a door. So the code, you have to have a light there. And there'll be several up-to-code receptacles.
Is that 220 or 110?
110.
Anybody else on my left? Okay. You have anything else you want to say right now? I'm going to go to the public if you don't. Okay. This is matter 4118Z, located at 8 Ponderosa Lane for a sunroom. Anyone here in the courtroom want to be heard in this matter? Please raise your hand or come forward. No one has. I'll close the public portion. Any final comments, sir?
Actually.
Go ahead, ma'am.
We have contemplated just altering what we already have, and we went through a few ideas, but there's nothing we can do to give us the height and the light than adding this additional room. And the one that we were talking about, 2008, was for older parents. We had to build that and make the house bigger than what we would have otherwise done. Just want to say that it's not like we're trying to make it bigger and bigger.
No.
It's something that
We
we want
understand.
to.
We understand. So, board members, this is going to be for 2 things. Well, the D will come first,
D4.
and then followed by C. It's D4. The existing FAR is .253, and they're looking at proposed .28. Someone want to move the D for the floor area ratio?
I'll second.
Moved and second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Gilman?
Yes.
Mrs. Strono?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. It's always nice when people want to stay here in the town and retire versus taking your money and leaving. You've been residents here for a long time. I know you came before us once before, and so I welcome that
Thank
you
you very
would
much, sir.
approve.
We need to do the C.
We will do the C
Yeah, the C.
after I stop congratulating. Does anybody want? But thank you, Mr. Sachs. Does anybody want to move the C for the, is it side or rear?
It's rear and it's 18.5
Yeah.
instead of 20? Okay, that's fine. Yep.
I'll move it.
Second.
Moved in second, roll call, please, for the C.
Ms. Chevalier?
Yes.
Ms. Gilman?
Yes.
Mrs. Strono?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes, I have nothing more to say now. Mr. Sachs stopped me, so that's-
Thank you very much.
best of luck, Happy New Year.
Thank you.
And in normal course, brought up the resolution, the next meeting.
Next meeting,
Then we
sir.
can apply for the third.
Yes, sir.
Great, sir.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We're doing,
Wawa?
All right, return to page one. We're going to do 13-18Z Wawa Inc. It's in the EDO 3 zone. This is 3600 US Highway 9, existing convenience store with fuel, adding a diesel dispenser and installation of underground fuel storage tank for diesel. It's going to require a major site plan, preliminary and final with the variance. Sarah Samborski is representing? I don't think so.
No, she's in my office, but it's Duncan Prime from the firm of Prime Law. How are you? She is here, I think, somewhere.
His father's up here before us, right?
Yeah.
Who's that? Yeah.
Is she not here?
I guess not.
You can, if you would like, we do have another court reporter here this
Sure.
evening. Ms. Masterton, why don't you come on up?
Come on in. Pinch hitter.
No
We'll
problem.
give her a second.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
Time's up.
One up there, Ron. Sheet one, there you go. Okay.
Let's let our court reporters.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely, not a problem.
Yes. Five iron.
Was it a 5
It
iron?
was a 5 iron.
Yeah, he could never reach you with a 6.
Yeah, there was, this particular site was subject of litigation many, many years ago.
I remember it well, Mr. Sachs.
And one of the comments of one of our former board members is, there was another gas station about a 5 iron away.
I remember, I believe it was in the transcript I reviewed. I do remember that, yeah.
Yes?
Okay.
Mr. Prime.
Okay. Again, Duncan Prime on behalf of Wawa Inc. with reference to tonight's application. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Sachs, members of the board. It's nice to be back. This application relates to the existing Wawa convenience store with the sale of gasoline currently located between State Highway Route 9 and Old Amboy Road, also known as Block 16002, lots 4 and 5 on the Township tax map. Our application tonight is simple. It's for amended preliminary and final site plan. It's simply to convert 6 of the MPDs, all 6 of the multi-product dispensers, from having what we refer to as a regular dispenser, which pumps 3 grades of gas, to a 3+1 dispenser, which pumps the 3 grades, the premium, mid-grade, and regular, and also the diesel fuel. As the board will remember, and as Mr. Sachs just commented, this application was subject to some litigation back in 2009 and 2010. Ultimately, it was remanded back to the board for approval. We had our final approval in January, I believe, of 2011. The site was constructed later that year. At that time, Wawa did not sell diesel fuel. It wasn't a product we sold. To be candid, I believe it was the initial stages of thinking about it as the program began in 2012. But 2011, we did not offer it. As some of the board may remember, we are back here on another site in Old Bridge, Route 34 and Dock Street, back in 2015, our store number 934. We were also in front of the planning board for two other stores in town on Route 18 and Maple and on Englishtown Road for approval of this diesel. You'll note if you drive around and see those other three stores, all three currently offer the sale of diesel, just as we propose to do here. This initiative is not township-based or locally based. It's all across the chain through the region. Wawa is offering the sale of the clean diesel fuel, trying to capture a market which we feel is expanding over the next few years and into the future. As with the other stores, we are going to proactively prohibit the sale of the diesel fuel to tractor trailers. It's not a market we're not looking to have a truck stop here and capture that market. This is for diesel automobiles, very light grade trucks like buses, automobiles that are already on our site. They're already there. The cars, our opinion is they're already there. They're there getting sandwiches, they're getting coffee. We're hoping that the diesel fuel is just another product that we can sell them. Again, we agreed to some signage on those other three stores, which says no tractor trailer fueling. There's a comment in your review letter, which I'm sure we'll go through shortly, which suggests we do that here. We're fine with that. We actually think it's a good idea. We would install those signs if we were approved. As Mr. Kloss will testify to shortly, and as I indicated and Mr. Kloss testified to in 2015 for the other store, the pumps themselves do not lend themselves to filling tractor-trailer trucks. They're slow-flow nozzles, traditional passenger automobile-style nozzles. They fill up cars at a rate of about 10 gallons per minute, whereas if you go to a truck stop, a truck would be filled up at 80 gallons per minute. It's just not efficient for a truck to come on and try to fill up here. We do not accept most of their forms of payment. It doesn't make a lot of sense, even if they tried, notwithstanding the topography and the site layout here, which would make it almost impossible. Aside from the pumps being flipped out, Mr. Kloss will testify there are very minor site improvements here. We're not doing any kind of expansion to the canopy or the building. It's simply a vent stack for the new tank that we're installing. The vent stack actually is in the setback, which we'll get to. We're also changing the signage on the freestanding sign, but that signage is just to indicate the diesel price, which we're required to do per state law. If we sell alternative fuel, which diesel is considered, we have to display it prominently on our price sign. No change to the size or style. It's just you've seen the sign around town. It's a green diesel sign, green diesel lettering. With that introduction, which is somewhat lengthy, I apologize, I'll turn it over to Mr. Kloss, our engineer. We have a whole team here for this one. We've got Mr. Dave Shropshire, our traffic engineer, who prepared a traffic assessment, and also Jim Kyle, a planner, because technically there are a couple use variances required with the application. With that, I can have my three professionals sworn, if that's what you prefer, Mr. Jackson.
We'll take them one at a time, though. We'll take them
One at a time, you
Yeah,
got
that's
it.
fine.
Ron?
Sir, please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name, spelling your last name, and professional affiliation.
Ronald Kloss, K-L-O-S. I'm with Bowler Engineering, 1600 Manor Drive, Chalfont, PA, 18914.
Thank you.
And Ron, I indicated you were here before, is that correct?
I was, as Duncan indicated, I was here before on all three of the other applications, albeit one of them was just before the zoning board, the other two before the planning board, but I've been doing this with Wawa for the past 7 or 8 years.
Mr. Kloss.
Thank you very much. Ron, why don't we dive in?
Sure. As Duncan indicated, relatively simple application as far as site improvements go. First is the installation of one underground storage tank. It's a 22,000 gallon tank. It'll be compartmentalized, but it's for the use and storage of the diesel fuel. It's going to be located on the north side of the canopy. just outside the edge of the canopy on that north side. From there, additional product piping will be piped from that tank to the multi-product dispensers, because as Duncan indicated, we're going to remove the existing multi-product dispensers and replace them with, again, we reference that as the new 3+1 dispenser. It'll dispense 3 grades of gasoline in one nozzle. The second nozzle that you'll see on the MPD is for the the diesel sales. Just like the existing MPDs, that would be available on both sides of the MPD. So it's a replacement of the 6 multi-product dispensers. Because this is diesel fuel as opposed to gas, we do have to vent this separately from the existing tanks. So we put a new vent stack pad. It's going to be located just beyond the northern curb line. It's a 3x5 concrete pad that would have 2 vent stacks coming up out of the ground, approximately 12 feet high, very similar to what you see along the roadway frontage along Route 9 for the existing tanks. And then finally, the signage, as Duncan indicated, we're going to remove and replace the pricing module that's currently out there. The current pricing module has the 3 grades of gasoline and what those prices are. What we would replace that module with would be a module that shows the regular and the price and the diesel and the price. We would not increase the size of the square footage of that sign at all. It would just merely be a refacing to show two pricings as opposed to 3 pricings. So that summarizes the site improvements. Again, as Duncan indicated, we're not looking for this to be the sale of fuel to tractor trailers. Much less of the low flow, order of probably 8 to 10 magnitude on these low flow, low volume nozzles. We don't accept the ComCheck or ComData cards. Also, you have the attendants out here that would, if a tractor trailer would pull in there, they can be turned away at that point. So that's a summary of the proposed site improvements. I can answer any questions if the board has any.
Ron, I have one follow-up. Just as far as the signage goes, we're also proposing the logo on the fuel dispenser. Is that correct? That was called out in the review letter from the township planner.
That is correct, because this is going to be a Wawa gasoline as opposed to some other brand of gasoline. Wawa places on their multi-product dispensers their logo along with their lettering. So there's a detail on this, I believe it's the second plan sheet in your package that shows that lettering on the multi-product dispenser. Very similar to what's out there now, or what goes on, if you're familiar with any of the other sites where we have the 3+1 dispensers, we have the same logo and lettering on those as well.
Thank you, Ron. I have no further questions for this witness from me, but I'm sure the board has some.
Ms. Spear, you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
I only had 2 real comments. One being pretty simple, the concrete pad that you have, if the detail could just be revised to 4,500 PSI. And then I noticed that on the site plan itself, there was, it says that there's proposed right-of-way. And when I look at the circulation plan of our master plan, Amboy Road is supposed to be a 50-foot right-of-way. So I would ask that a 25-foot half-width right-of-way be dedicated on your side. When I scaled it off, it seemed like it was about 22.
That's not a problem. We will comply with both of those comments.
Ms. Shapiro?
That's it.
Go on.
So, like I have mentioned in the memo, in the past, when we had similar applications, we had required applicants to have the no tractor trailer sign. So do you have any locations or places where you think of the signs? Because in my memo, I had made a recommendation that probably you should have it underneath the new module on the freestanding sign itself, but that was just a suggestion. Do you have a location for those?
What we've done in other stores is we've actually posted that right at the MPDs. So in other words, there's 6 multi-product dispensers you can access from either side. We'll post them on either side. So as you're approaching from either Old Amboy Road or from US Route 9, when you come into the site, they're very visible right at the pumps.
Okay. The other thing I noticed is on your site plan, there is
along the entrance of Old Amboy Road, there is a sign which says that entrance closed from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. And because I didn't have the background of this application, I went through the previous resolutions and transcripts, and I noticed that that requirement, or that was a condition of approval for the Route 9 access. However, for Old Amboy Road, there were no tractors or trailers or any sort of deliveries allowed from that ingress egress point. So I just wanted you to revise your plans to remove that and have the correct signage. I believe it's still, right now that access is closed for deliveries, right?
On Old Amboy?
Right.
Yes, the deliveries are supposed to come.
Hold on, folks, there'll be a public portion, hold on.
So,
Do it too, I'm familiar with the property.
okay.
Yes, and I believe there was a comment in the letter about revising our circulation pattern to show us entering and exiting on Route 9, and that's not a problem. We can comply with that.
Right, because I think the tanker turning templates also show deliveries from Old Amboy Road, so that needs to be revised to match up with the conditions of approval. Regarding the signs, yes, the logo sign and there's a Wawa sign, both of them need variances only because the way the ordinance is crafted, add-on signs are permitted, but add-on signs are defined more as to credit card signs and advertisement of those sorts, but it really doesn't allow you to put a logo or a Wawa sign. What they are proposing is compliant with the size of those add-on signs, but they really don't qualify to be add-on signs, and that's why they would need a variance on that. That's pretty much it. The landscape area ratio, I'm sorry. Do you have the numbers? I believe when you came in front of the board, you would have got a variance on that one, but I didn't have that information. I didn't see it anywhere. Because it appears that you are low on the landscape area ratio. The required is 0.4, but I thought you would have more information on that.
I don't have the numbers. What I can tell you, the only additional impervious we're adding is the 15 square feet, which is the 3x5 pad for the vent stack pad, just behind the curb line.
To be on the safer side, I think you should ask for that variance because either ways you're increasing that impervious coverage. Even if you were granted a variance in the past, this would kind of...
Exacerbate it.
Yes.
We'll ask. It's probably de minimis with 15 extra square feet, but
Right.
we can amend the application here and ask for it.
That's it.
You were speaking about the sign of warn no tractor trailer fueling, I guess. Or was
No
there
tractor
something-
trailer fueling,
Yes.
correct. We usually do like a 12 by 18 sign.
While you haven't introduced this, I'm gonna refer to it, on page 2, the 4. You want to introduce it, maybe, Mr. Prime?
I'm sorry, that was our court reporter.
You want to get the sign, I want to refer to it.
Yes, we can, what are you referring to?
The plan,
Yes, okay,
because I'm,
sure. Page 2, we'll introduce, is it
2 of 4.
2 of page set, plan set 2 of 4 dated, Ron, is it there?
Last revised 6/15/18.
Sure. Go.
This is gonna go on here.
The signs in the middle there that are the Wawa signs.
Yes.
Is this where that warning is going to go, below the fuel prices? Right now, it says no surcharge ATM. Is that where you're talking about, where you're going to put it?
No, go ahead, Ron.
No, what we've done at other stores is we've done individual signs, so kind of like a directional sign or something that you would see within a parking lot or a no parking type sign. It'd be a 12-inch by 18-inch sign posted immediately on the canopy column. So as you're approaching the multi-product dispensers, it's in front of each one, and it's on both sides of it. So there would be a total of 6 of those posted on the canopy columns immediately at the MPDs.
There's no warning coming in from Route 9?
No.
Let me follow up on that. Is there any available land area along Route 9 where you could put some type of signage prohibit, just advising tractor trailers, don't even bother to enter the site? I know I've seen that in other similar types of,
That wasn't a restriction with the, I'm not saying a tractor trailer belongs on site.
No, I understand
just,
that.
but they are technically permitted to come on and get a
maybe
sandwich or coffee.
no tractor trailer fueling.
Fueling.
Yeah, I mean, something along those lines.
I thought the best way to do it was to add it under the module on Route 9 so that it's visible when vehicles are approaching, because it's right in front of you. Because to read the signs on the site, you'll have to enter the site and then figure out that, oh, fueling is not allowed. I would rather have it right up front so that it prevents such vehicles from even entering the site.
That's fine.
I'm sure you can
We
accommodate.
can accommodate.
Okay, fine, okay.
What I find about the site is it's an attractive nuisance which is not your fault, but you have trucks stacked up in the morning.
Sure.
Out on Route 9 on the shoulder. And they're usually dump trucks, all heading south. And they're going in to buy their product, which I know you want to sell, but unfortunately, they are probably creating some liability for you when somebody comes out of that driveway. That's why I was suggesting, as Ms. Sawant said, that they shouldn't be pulling in to think that they can get fuel. I know what you're talking about, the pump. Those type of trucks don't want to come in. They don't have the time to waste on a slow flow pump. But I don't know, there should be some, you can't control that, I know, that's up to the police.
No, you're right.
But it is an attractive
Typically,
business.
Wawa does not want to put that sign under the price just because it dissuades, they feel it dissuades all truck customers from coming to the site, period, for coffee, for anything. That's why we usually push back. Here, with the way the site's laid out, it's probably appropriate.
Maybe if you label it no tractor trailer.
And we
fuel zone.
will do that.
Yeah, right.
But here, it's more appropriate here than elsewhere.
That's fine, okay. Good.
Okay, professionals, you guys are okay, right?
I have two quick witnesses.
Well, let me go to.
You want to, okay.
I want to see if the board has any questions.
Sure.
To my left.
A couple of questions regarding the installation of the tank for diesel. I know there's a couple of grades, 1B and 2B, and you said clean diesel. Do you know any grade that
I don't know the exact grade. It's a passenger vehicle grade diesel.
1,000 gallons, and it's going to service two pads. I see here, the half and the 11-12. And then you're going to divide this tank into two. You're going to divide a 10,000 gallon into 12,000. What's the purpose of that?
So the diesel fuel will be piped to all 6 multi-product dispensers.
It's only pads half and 11-12 on the site plan.
If we're can we flip back to number 1 up there?
Regardless, though, what's the purpose of splitting?
So the purpose of splitting it, it'll currently be for diesel. However, just as 10 years ago, diesel fuel was not envisioned to be a fueling product for vehicles, maybe there's another fuel down the road, whether it be, whatever a future fuel may be. They put the compartmentalized tank in now, so they don't have to go dig up anything in the ground later, and the product piping is already there for it.
And we understand we'd have to come back to this board to sell another fuel, but this would prevent us from digging again and having to install another tank.
You have two fill entrances?
Yes, correct. There's a 10,000 gallon end and a 12,000 gallon end.
One vent.
No, the vent actually it's, both of those sides are vented, so that coming out of the vent stack pad are 2 vent stacks. I do not know.
Anybody else on my left of this witness? Am I right?
Yeah, as far as the back, the exit onto Old Amboy Road over there, we're going to have a sign there, for no traffic, no tractor trailer traffic at that point too?
On Old Amboy for deliveries?
For anybody who may happen to pull in or delivery. Delivery, you
I'm not sure
have
we
it
can
now,
control
right?
tractor trailer traffic on the Old Amboy Road, it's just our site. We can control,
Right.
we can put a delivery sign on our site off Old Amboy Road entrance.
I mean, I think, if I recall, and I'm sure I'm going to hear from members of the public.
And Mr. Shropshire is here as well, our traffic engineer.
But I think there was a restriction on deliveries at certain hours.
There was.
Hopefully that signage.
If the sign is gone, it will be replaced.
Okay,
Yeah, there was restricted hours.
right.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Thompson?
No.
No? Oh, you can go with your next witness.
Sure, thank you. Dave? My next witness is Dave Shropshire, our traffic engineer, who also has the benefit of being our traffic engineer with the original approval back in 2009.
Sir,
Dave.
please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name, spelling your last name, professional affiliation for the record.
Dave Shropshire, S-H-R-O-P, S-H-I-R-E, professional engineer, professional planner, traffic engineer for the project.
Would you like to hear Mr. Shropshire's credentials, Mr. Chairman?
Well,
I think he was qualified.
he was qualified the last, but it was all the same, right?
I mean, I'm sure.
Is your license still in good standing?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And I have testified.
And he has testified in front
He
of us.
has testified before us, and I guess seeing as it is the same project, different, okay. We'll accept him.
All right, Dave, you prepared or assisted in the preparation of a traffic engineering assessment prepared by your office dated June 21, 2018, is that correct?
That's correct.
Would you mind sharing the findings of that assessment with this board?
We went back out and counted, took a look at the field observations, saw what the chair has commented on with regard to the truck activity that parks on the shoulder, in addition to quantifying the activity into and out of the site. And we did that for the purpose of trying to estimate what the growth in traffic might be related to this diesel operation. It's a little bit difficult to put your hands around that. Just because it's a different product, it would be different in different locations, and in result of that, looking at this, NJDOT wouldn't say there would be any increase. Wawa looks at it and says, we're hoping to capture our existing base of customers, so they're already in the site. As the board knows and has heard me testify, I'm sure others with regard to this type of use, it's pass-by traffic primarily, so there's not new traffic being generated to the site. But for the purposes of our study, what we did was we assumed a 5% increase in traffic overall related to this diesel operation, reanalyzed everything. It really didn't change anything. There's delays on the Route 9 access coming out, not really any delays back on Old Amboy. If it does increase by 5%, we're looking at somewhere between 15 to 22 trips being generated in addition to what's out there right now. I don't believe that'll ever be achieved, but even with that increase, it doesn't really change what's going on out there. So the simple results from our study would be to support the planning testimony with regard to the variances. And from a traffic perspective, there won't be any substantial detriment to the public good because it just doesn't generate a whole lot of new traffic. And so it wouldn't affect the master plan or the zoning ordinance from a traffic perspective either, just because it's a low generator. That sort of synthesizes what's in our report.
I have no follow-up questions for Mr. Shropshire. If the board has any, or your professionals, happy to
Mr.
answer them.
Watt? Ms. Shapiro?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure that I heard correctly before the applicant's traffic engineer came on. We had agreed that there was going to be a no tractor trailer fueling underneath the Wawa sign that's directly on Route 9. But as for the entrance that's on Old Amboy Road, there would be an additional sign that says no tractor trailer fueling, as well as the no delivery sign. Is that what I'm understanding?
Say that one more time.
Is there a no tractor trailer fueling sign on Old Amboy Road entrance in addition to the no deliveries?
There is not.
So that you are not agreeing to that?
We
no,
didn't
no,
say
it
we
says
wouldn't
it's not
agree.
present.
It's not proposed,
No,
nor
no,
have we considered it.
But did I hear you before the traffic engineer, did I hear you say that Wawa would agree to that entrance as well?
We would.
Okay.
I think what he said is that he couldn't prevent a tractor trailer from entering that site.
That's
what I
correct.
thought, yeah, but, and I don't think there's too many tractor trailers coming in on Amboy, but maybe members of the public will say something.
And what I'm
different.
trying to do here is pull up the 2011 resolution of approval.
No problem,
Okay.
okay.
So of this witness, Ms. Shapiro, or anything? No? Board member, somebody left of this witness?
Yes, sir. Would you know the next station that would have diesel closest to the route?
I do not.
So
No.
it might be this before.
Could be.
So we'll be having a lot more traffic going through with this diesel.
Wawa doesn't anticipate that, but
Where else would they go if they're in that vicinity?
if there's no other diesel up or downstream, they would go here, if they're not already going here.
Anybody else on my left? I go to my right. None?
Okay.
Sachs, you have anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Next witness.
I have our last witness, Jim Kyle, our professional planner. be sworn in.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kyle. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, please state your name, spelling your last name, professional affiliation for the record.
It's James Kyle, Kyle, licensed professional planner with Kyle McManus Associates in Hopewell, New Jersey.
And Jim, have you testified before this board before?
If I did, it was a long time ago. I don't think I've been here in probably 7 or 8 years, so.
Provide the board with a brief description of your qualifications, including any professional licenses you may hold.
Sure. I have a
Thanks.
Bachelor of Science from Rutgers in Environmental Planning and Design, which I received in 1996. I've been a practicing planner for about 20 years. Currently advise a number of municipal boards such as this. I'm a municipal consultant for about 8 towns in Warren and Hunterdon counties.
Accept Mr. Kyle's credentials.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Jim?
you. Sure. I was retained by the applicant to review the variance issues associated with the application before the board. In preparation of that, I met with client and counsel to discuss the proposal. I've also reviewed the township master plan and zoning ordinance, visited the site, and then reviewed the letters from your professionals as well as any plans that were prepared. I think we've summarized the location of the property and what the proposal is. So what I'll do is just identify the variances that are required. At the time that this application came before the board in 2009, this was not a permitted use. This was a different zoning district, in fact. In 2015, this use became conditionally permitted at this site. So convenience store with fuel sales is conditionally permitted in the ED03 zone in which this property is located. There are a few conditions in that ordinance that we do not meet, which gives rise to the need for us to get D3 conditional use variances. The first of that is related to the lot size. So 3 acres is the required minimum. And based on the discussion that we just had about the dedication of the additional right-of-way, that lot size actually is going to drop to 1.98 acres instead of the 2.01 that's currently on our plans. So I just want to make note of that. Mr. Clausen and I just figured that out based on the additional 3 feet over about 394 feet. It's 1,182 square feet that's going to come off the lot size. So I just want to make sure we correct that so that we get the appropriate relief should the board choose to approve the application. The second one is for the setback. The way the ordinance is written, it's required to be 25 feet for any pump or structure is the way that it's worded. So with the venting stack that we will have on the north side of the facility, that is within 12.3 feet of that side property line on the north, so we need relief for that. It's supposed to be 25, we're at 12.3, and that's specifically related to the vent stack. As was previously identified by your planner, we also need bulk relief for the signage that we're proposing on the pumps. So the way that the ordinance is written, as she identified, is it talks about some signage that's allowed, but this type of signage is not. So this actually requires a bulk variance for that. So in terms of the conditional use variances that we're seeking, as the board, I'm sure, is well aware, the case that we apply in this instance is different than what we consider for a D1 variance. So we're going to use what are called the Coventry standards, and that comes from Coventry v. Westwood Board of Adjustment. The court recognized in that case that a conditional use variance applicant's inability to meet one or more of the conditions doesn't necessarily need to affect the appropriateness of the site for the use. So when we focus on a D3 variance, we're going to talk about the deviations themselves and the effect it has on the continued suitability of the site for the use, and then the effect those deviations have on any surrounding properties, and then reconciling the intent of the governing body and putting those standards in place in the first place. That's kind of the second prong of the negative criteria with a D3. I do think that the grant of the variances here will promote the general welfare. That's purpose A of the municipal land use law. This really allows us to provide for continued support of the master plan. The EDO zone is really intended to provide a business vehicle for the township. This is where a lot of this economic development, continued fostering of business is intended to go. So this, the grant of the variances here will really continue that purpose, and I think also purpose G, to provide sufficient space in appropriate locations, is another purpose that will be promoted here. This use is conditionally permitted. This is the location that is appropriate for the use. So the grant of the variances here allows us to continue that and provide this in a location where the township wants to see these facilities. I think the site remains suitable despite the deviations that we have. Despite the departure in lot size, I think the facilities are right-sized for the lot area that we have. We don't require any relief for FAR. We meet all the required setbacks, again, with the exception of the venting stack that we're here for. So it's not as though the lot is overdeveloped if you put it in the context of the existing bulk standards for the zone.
Also, the new venting equipment is going in a portion of the site that is already developed. It'll be outside the curb line. There is some fencing and some landscape screening on that side, so it really diminishes any potential impact to the neighboring property, which at this point is not developed. But, so I think the site does remain suitable despite those deviations. In terms of the negative criteria and any impact those deviations have on surrounding properties, again, the lot size is really an existing non-conforming condition. It was part of what was approved with the prior application. It doesn't really affect any of the surrounding properties. Again, as I said, we meet all the bulk standards for the zone, and we meet the FAR requirements, so it's not as though the development is too intense. Again, as I said, the setback for the vent stack is to a property that's currently undeveloped. It's also zoned EDO3. There is landscaping and there is fencing on that side of the site as well, so that will tend to diminish any of the potential impact of that variance and that departure. And again, the vent stack is not a very large structure. It's just piping that comes out of the ground and it has a vent at the top. So it's fairly minimal in terms of an installation. In terms of reconciling the intent of the standards related to lot size and the setbacks, as I said, again, we meet the majority of the requirements for the zone. I think the intent was just to provide sufficient area for these facilities to be constructed, and I think that's met here. Also, the setback of the pump structures was likely intended to address any visual impact or, related issues that occur with setback. As I said, this is a very minor facility that we're installing, that's the vent stack. It's not really going to have any significant impact. So I think the intent of those standards is met with this, given what we have on the adjacent property. So I don't think there'll be any substantial impact to that intent, and that's how we can reconcile it. It's an existing facility, and there shouldn't be any significant impact. So I think we're meeting the intent of the standards. In terms of the signage, I think this does qualify as a C2 and that the benefits outweigh any detriments. This really is a public welfare issue for us. You might go to another convenience store. Sometimes you'll have, like a convenience store that has a different brand of gas that's out at the pump. A lot of people want to know what brand of gas they're getting there. So Wawa likes to put this identification on there so that when people come to the site, they know that they're getting gas from a Wawa brand. It's important to some consumers, the brand of gas that they put in the car, so we want them to know.
Just to interject, it's also, it's part of the statute, the gasoline, whoever's selling the gas has to display prominently on the site whose gas it is. That doesn't mean it has to be on the pump, but we do have to display where you're buying your gas from. So just want to interject with that, Jim. It does have to be there on the site somewhere, clearly displayed in or around the pumps. Again, doesn't have to be on the pump, but it does have to be there.
Yeah, so most people will understand they're at Wawa, but they might, given the difference sometimes in the branding of gas versus the convenience store that's there, it's important for us to identify that. And this is the easiest way to do it. Just put the logo and the lettering on the pump itself, and it takes care of the problem. So I think it does provide some benefit. There's really no impact to surrounding properties from the grant of the variance for this signage. These are small signs. They're isolated to the pumps. They're not very visible from any of the surrounding properties, so I don't think there's any substantial impact. And in terms of the intent purpose of the zone plan, there's no real intent behind the sign standards. They're in the ordinance, but I think the general intent is just to regulate the number of signs, not to have a proliferation of signage or over signage, address any nuisance factors or safety issues, and I think that given the small nature of the signage that we have there's no real impact to what would likely be the intent of those standards. And I would note, having gone to all the stores in the township recently, that all the pumps that we have that are 3+1 that we've retrofitted all have the same logo and wording on it. So it's something that we already have on these pumps to identify the branding. So I don't think there's any substantial impact to the intent of the standards from that.
Okay. I have no follow-up questions for our planner. I'd be happy to take some. Mr. Kyle, I'd be happy to take some from the board or your professionals.
Yes, I just have one comment. I know the planner mentioned that this site is kind of underdeveloped, and I want to just throw out a few things. I have been working on the EDO3 zone recently, making amendments and looking at the uses permitted. One thing that I notice is with the Wawa or the gas retail convenience with fueling service, that's what it's categorized as, not as a typical gas station with convenience store. I have noticed that our ordinance requires a minimum of 3 acres. We have 4 of such locations, like in the town. 3 of them are pretty large. It's roughly between 3 to 5 acres. This is kind of undersized a lot. And then I don't quite agree that it's underdeveloped. I feel for 1.89 acres, it is developed, and that's why I was insisting on them asking for even the landscape area ratio variance, because I've looked at the Wawa on Route 34. Like, it has a nice buffer around, and the impervious coverage is centrally located on, in this instance, it is skinnier, like this buffers around. So that's the only point I noted, and I know that is a variance. The landscape area ratio should be a variance you should be seeking, and have it in the resolution as well. But that's pretty much it.
Ms. Spear? Board members on my left of Mr. Koch. Board members on my right. Mr. Sachs?
No, I'm good.
I think that's it, right?
Thank you.
Witnesses?
Yes, that concludes my testimony for my witnesses. Just real quick before we introduce to the public or take any more questions, I did have the opportunity to pull up our original resolution of approval, and just to clear up what we were discussing earlier, the deliveries are restricted on Route 9 from the hours of 11 to 5, and their deliveries are restricted altogether on Old Amboy. So if the signage that displays those restrictions is down, we will agree to reinstall it.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
11 to 5 on Amboy, right? Is that what you-
No, 11 to 5 on Route 9.
No
Oh, delivery.
No deliveries whatsoever.
No deliveries
from
between
that.
11 PM and 5 AM on Route 9, and no deliveries
No deliveries.
whatsoever on Old Amboy.
Okay, I wanted to make sure we got that.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Nothing further at this point?
We have nothing further. That
don't
concludes
mind
our
if I go to
direct
the public
testimony.
then in this?
We do not. We welcome it.
Okay. This is matter 1318Z for the Wawa located 3600 US Highway 9 South. Anyone want to be heard on this matter? Please raise your hand. Please come forward. One at a time, okay, yeah, okay. She's gonna sit. Board Attorney will swear you in.
Ma'am, please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, please state your name, spelling your last name, address for the record.
Michelle Carrero, Carrero, 53 Old Amboy Road, Old Bridge, New Jersey.
Thank you.
You may be
You're
seated.
So, one of the big issues that you guys seem to have a problem with was these tractor trailers that are gonna be coming on site. I think that's like smoke and mirrors in front of you, because anybody that knows anything about diesel fuel, you're gonna know that the vehicles that actually run diesel fuel are very loud. They're bigger vehicles, and the pumps that they're gonna have, or they're proposing to have in there, fill these vehicles, like tow trucks and delivery trucks and things like that. Wawa put their store there in what, 2011 they started to build it? You guys turned it down because the site was entirely too small for what they're doing. I was wondering if any of you have been there in the morning or at rush hour. Have you gotten out of there safe? Have you almost not gotten out of there safe? So if you put larger vehicles in that smaller area, it's gonna cause even more of issues, especially vehicles you can't see around. Does that make sense? It's bad enough when you go down Old Amboy Road and All American has that parking all down the street and they're pulling out in front of us. And then you got the guy filling in wetlands across the street. There's the Old Bridge Elks. Did anybody happen to notice all the trucks that park in the Old Bridge Elks to walk over there? Now they're gonna be able to get diesel fuel on site. So why would they park over there? They can come in, get their diesel fuel, leave the trucks at the pumps while it's getting fueled up, because if you didn't notice, diesel fuel trucks have huge tanks. They're focusing on cars. How many of you have ever owned a diesel vehicle?
How many diesel vehicles have you seen in the past, besides some really old Mercedes? Some Volkswagen Jettas might have it. But then when you go into the other diesel vehicles, you're going into F-350 pickup trucks. You're going into things that are of a commercial vehicle. They're commercial vehicles. Wawa is trying to say that they're trying to get more people into the store. Yeah, they're going to get more people into the store. The man that said that there would be no traffic impact is out of his mind. Because once they find out that they can get diesel fuel and they can get a sandwich and a cup of coffee and leave their truck at the thing, it's going to back up Route 9. Because it takes longer to fuel up a diesel vehicle with a larger tank than it does to deal up my little 12-gallon tank in my Buick. Does that make sense to you? So those cars, they're going to be left at the pumps because that's what they do. They also said that they're going to put signs up. Well, you know what? Do you know when they put the gate up in the back to stop the vehicles from coming in? Last month. And then it was down for I don't know how long because somebody was drunk or somebody didn't see it and they ran it over and knocked it off the side. The traffic that is on Old Amboy Road right now is ridiculous. I had to call the cops because somebody tried to break into my car twice. People park in front of my house, trucks park in front of my house, and they get out. I live there by myself. My neighbor lives there by herself. We're two females. And you're basically saying, like, let some more you're worried about tractor trailers? There's so many things that you're not seeing. They're saying, you know what, we'll make sure our attendants turn around and say, you can't bring a tractor trailer in there. Well, then it's too late, because then they're gonna turn around, where are they gonna go? Are they gonna make it around the Wawa? No, I doubt it. I highly doubt it, especially with the traffic and the vehicles that are on that site that is entirely too small in the first place.
You're going to have to slow down, and I'll tell you why. Because we have a court reporter who is taking down every word. And I don't think she got half
I was
of it.
making sense.
So, slow down.
So anyway, when they say that they're going to enforce something and they're going to have the children that work there enforce it, it doesn't get enforced. They don't, I mean, don't get me wrong, Wawa is very clean. When I call, and I call often, and my neighbor calls often, they fix the problem for maybe a week or two. And then it just resumes itself, because it's not the same person that works there at night when the trucks come in. It's not the same person that has to lock the gate at night so that there's not cars coming in and out past my house all night. They said that they wouldn't have any deliveries on that site in the middle of the night. Nothing past a certain time. They have deliveries there constantly. Where they deliver, they're supposed to deliver in the back. They park the truck on the side, which is a parking lot, not the delivery zone, and they leave the truck running, and I have to listen to it. And where does the lights go? Into my bedroom window. That's great. That's awesome. Into my bedroom window. Would you guys like that? They said there's a loading and unloading zone. There's a zone where those vehicles have, and you know what they told me? There's nothing we can do about it. We can ask them to move, but we can't police them. We might be able to worry about our own deliveries, but we can't worry about deliveries from other trucks. How much percentage is your stuff? How much percentage is Wawa branded things? I don't know, I think there's a Lay's truck.
Ma'am, please address the
I'm
board.
just asking them. You guys have been in there. How much is Wawa branded stuff? Coffee? Some sandwich meat? Other than that, isn't it Lay's and Coca-Cola and Sunkist and all the other kind of things? True? Tell me I would like to know the percentage of Wawa branded things. And I would like to know if they're going to say that they're going to police it, why they've been telling me and my neighbors that they can't police something that isn't their brand, isn't from them. They can't tell somebody when they can deliver stuff. They're at the mercy of the deliveries. But they told you guys, everybody on the board, because how many people were here when this first originally started? Because then you know who I am. Because I had just as big, yes, I remember you too. We don't really see eye to eye with each other. Because I went into their engineering department a million times because Wawa just kept changing the plans. What, were we on 9? I think we were on 9 when they were turned down. So they were turned down because one of the reasons was the lot was not big enough. Does that make sense about bigger vehicles with bigger tanks with diesel fuel? Or it doesn't? Or you just let me talk and you tired?
I want to hear what you have to say.
So, and what about the trucks that park on the highway?
That's an enforcement issue that has to be.
But it's not, it's every day.
I just finished? If there are trucks being parked and it's obviously a complaint that you have to contact the Old Bridge Police Department.
Well, shouldn't
They
the
will
Old Bridge
ticket those
Police Department
vehicles,
be policing?
and I will assure you that if a vehicle gets ticketed, it is no longer going to park on that shoulder.
But every single morning, the whole entire shoulder on Route 9 is full of garbage trucks.
Have you called the police?
I do. They could be out there all the time. They're there. Let me put it this way. The cops sit on my road constantly now because Wawa's right there. It's quiet, it's dark, it's a good place for them to hide, so they just don't do anything about it. And usually at the time that these trucks are there, it's usually the shift change. It's really early in the morning when you're changing out night shift to day shift. Unless I call, so should I sit at my window all day and worry about it? Or are you guys gonna worry about it when the next fatality happens in that area? Because that is the highest area of fatalities, and I prove that to you because I went to your department and found out that Route 9 and Spring Valley Road has the highest number of fatalities. That is a bus lane, and those trucks are parked there. What happens when a bus with people come flying up that bus lane and hit or smash into one of those trucks? Does this make any sense? This isn't a suitable area for diesel fuel. It's gonna call for bigger vehicles, and we don't have a big enough lot. I don't know what you are, hon. The planner actually even said that the other lots are over 3. There's one that's 5. They said they were gonna put landscaping in. They did what they wanted to do. The trees and everything, they did what they wanted to do. I had to call the engineering department because they weren't gonna put a piece of fence. They were gonna stop it. They do what they wanna do. They tell you whatever you wanna hear here, but when push comes to shove, once you say okay, none of you on this board are gonna be out there making sure that the trucks aren't in the road, making sure that there's not anything going on, making sure that gate is locked at 10 o'clock, making sure nobody tries to break into my car again. Nobody's walking. I mean, I had to call because somebody was parked in front of my house. And then I called the police. They left before the cops got there, and they came back a bunch of times. They were going in and out of the Wawa parking lot. It's a breeding ground. Even the one engineer said to me, make sure you keep your lights on. My lights are on constantly in my house now. They said, keep your lights on, keep your doors locked, because you don't know what kind of people are gonna be coming in here. And there's nothing you can do about that, or even Wawa can do about that, because they can't say, you can't come onto this property. But needless to say, can you nip it in the bud already? Isn't it enough? Enough's enough. That land is not big enough to bring in bigger vehicles when it can't suffice the smaller vehicles that are all over it, that are almost running into each other. And bigger vehicles you can't see around. I don't know. I guess that's it. Because you guys are gonna do whatever you wanna do, and if Wawa gets turned down, they're just gonna appeal it to a board and overturn your ruling anyway, like they did the last time. Because this Wawa wasn't even supposed to be here as far as the board was concerned. You voted against it. And by the way, Mr. Sachs, you said that there was a gas station there that was a stone's throw away when the other attorney came up here. Yes, you know how many pumps it was? 2, and it was closed for years. So that isn't even something that was.
We're talking about the other side of the highway.
We're talking about the.
But what's the
petroleum
buffer on the
19.
other side of the highway?
Pardon me?
What was the buffer on the other side of the highway?
No, that's not the question. The question was, at the last hearing back, whenever it was, 2011, I guess, one of our board members made a comment about another gas station being across the street that was a 5-iron away. That's all.
I thought you were talking about the gas
no,
station that
the
was
same
there,
side, yeah,
but
not
that was
the same
closed and it was 2 gas pumps. So that's a totally different thing. And if you look at the other gas station that they were referring to, the buffer zone that's around that and the area that there are houses where actually people reside, that they worked really hard to be able to live in a house, you can't even see them. There's so much land around it that it's crazy. This is like, I look out my back window, there's cars. And you guys should take a ride past it tonight and tell me how many vehicles are back there. I mean, should I have to call, or should the police be aware of the no signage? Or shouldn't the zoning department be aware that these signs are down?
Well, I think what the applicants indicated is that the signage is going to be put back up. I mean,
Signage, how about, just like the gate was gonna be put back up? How long have they been there? How long? How long has
unless
Wawa
it's
been
brought,
open?
listen, unless it's brought to anyone's attention, there's nothing that can be done. But
Like they said, we'll fix it, and the people that work there will police it. But they're not the same people, and then all of a sudden, they're kids. They're not that old. They got better things to do. They're not gonna do, you think the kids are gonna remember to go out and get it? and go out and close the gate and say to somebody, you think they're gonna get into confrontation about, no, you can't fuel up your vehicle here because it's not permitted? No, that doesn't happen. They're kids, they're not into the confrontation. There's no real adults there that are overseeing it. There's what, one or two? I mean, not for nothing, they're very nice kids. They're very respectful, they're very nice. Wawa's very clean. They have, you know, if you call, they do take care of it for a New York minute, and then you have to call again. I have better things to do with my life. Can't you help me out here? I don't need another headache. You have American Ford that you let go in. You make a parking lot, and you never even make them park in it. Right down there, they
Ma'am,
will
excuse
kill
me.
you. And the wetlands, you should really send somebody down there too for the guy that's filling in the wetlands. That's all. Thank you. You have a nice night. I hope it doesn't.
We
I
thank
hope
you
that
for-
could help us out for once.
We thank you for your comments, ma'am. Do you want to be heard as well?
Yeah.
Come forward, please.
I just have a little bit to add.
Okay. Board Attorney will swear you in.
Ma'am, please raise your right hand, I'll swear you in. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, please state your name, spelling your last name and address for the record.
Kathy Miller, Miller, 57 Old Amboy Road. I live directly across from the Wawa in the back. And I guess I
You can
should
be
sit
seated.
here, so, okay.
Just talk slowly so that it can be picked up by the stenographer.
Okay. I just wanted to add that the site is too small for trucks that do go in and out in the back entrance, which they're not supposed to, and there's a truck going in there every 5 to 10 minutes. There's no signs on the road for the entrance going in saying no trucks. There's two signs,
Excuse me, what size trucks are we talking about?
all sizes.
Give me an example. You have
It could
track-
be a bus, it could be a tractor trailer, it could be a panel truck, it could be a Coca-Cola truck, it
Where do
could be
those trucks park on this site?
on the site. Once they're on the site, I don't know where they park. I just see them going in and out. And the ones that park in front of my house and in front of the, I've sent pictures in of a bus parking where it says no parking. The car carriers parked in front of my house, right in front of the fire hydrant, says no parking. There's signs on the inside of Wawa that says no trucks coming out of their exit onto Old Amboy Road. Nobody pays attention to it. The trucks go in and out all day long. And Wawa has told me they could only control their own trucks. They cannot control any of the other trucks that come in and out that road. And now with American Ford, there's additional trucks, and then what you have, the Walmart, there's more traffic down that road than ever. I mean, there's a car going down there every 2 minutes. I can't even walk across to go to my mailbox anymore. So I have gone to the post office to complain, to see if I could put my mailbox on the other side of the road, because I feel it's dangerous. You know, that with the trucks in the parking lot at the Wawa, because of the tight, I have a cold, so I hope I don't start coughing or sneezing. When they try to maneuver and turn, I'm talking about the big trucks coming in, for whatever reason they're there getting their coffee or whatever. I'm listening to horns honking all day long, and it's the big trucks blasting because they can't get through, they can't maneuver amongst the car traffic. And there is a lot of traffic. And what they were saying about no increase in traffic, if you're trying to increase the volume of your business, why would you not expect an increase in volume of traffic? It doesn't make sense. Doesn't one go with the other? Right? If you're trying to increase your volume to have more cars come in by supplying diesel, you don't expect more traffic to come in? I don't get that.
I'll refer back to something when you finish.
Okay, well, I think basically that's it. I feel that the site is too small and that you can't control the truck traffic from Old Amboy Road. You haven't been able to do it up till now. And again, it's all day long. I could take pictures, video, supply it to you, and there's no way of controlling it. So you have diesel in there. How are you going to stop them from coming into Old Amboy Road going into there? You're not going to be able to. And the police will not stop it. The police don't do anything now with all the problems we have with American Ford. You can't control it. So you tell me, I'm not opposed to diesel, but how are you going to control that truck traffic coming in there, Old Amboy Road?
Just let me say this, and I don't know, there might be a couple of people on board that know. I don't know what the weight limit is on the street, and I don't know it's a light traffic street. It may not be. Therefore, truck traffic is probably not prohibited.
It's not
On-
prohibited on the road, but
I'm saying,
Wawa
so
assured
parking on
us,
the road probably is not prohibited.
except in front of our house, there's no traffic signs. I mean, no parking signs, I'm
Unless
sorry.
there's an ordinance prohibiting it. Signage by itself doesn't allow for enforcement. An ordinance allows for enforcement. And I'm not familiar with it. I probably will look into it to see what it is. Traffic down coming from an All-American Ford, car carriers or parts trucks or trucks like you're speaking about are probably not prohibited by weight. That's how they prohibit
Right.
traffic. The parking out on Route 9, it is a problem. I see it all the time. I pass it frequently in the morning. That, unfortunately, is not their issue. They're an attractive nuisance, in a sense, to the carriers or to these garbage trucks or dump trucks, because guys are coming down and they're going in and buying product. That really is an enforcement for the state police or for Old Bridge Township police. However, I seriously doubt they're going to sit there every morning. I don't know. They may, and
They
then
won't.
get that out. Traffic coming in and out of the back,
Is not allowed.
well,
The trucks are not allowed.
deliveries are not
The
allowed.
trucks are, we were assured by Wawa that there will be no trucks coming in and out of
And I'm
the
sure that
back
the best they
entrance.
can do, well, they can control their own deliveries, their own internal, probably their fuel and their
Yeah,
product.
the fuel truck doesn't, but their tractor-trailer delivery trucks do come in and out of that road until I call up and complain. And again, they won't come for a while, and then suddenly, and they're tractor-trailers, and there's very little space for them to maneuver. It's a dangerous
You're talking
situation.
about the tractor-trailer delivery trucks?
Yes.
Okay.
And, yeah, or others that are going for their coffee and their sandwich.
Well, I-
They'll pull in there, but most of them will go to the Elks or park by my house.
Right, because, and the reason I asked, I mean, obviously I was here, Mr. Sullivan was here. I don't know if, Bruce, were you here maybe?
Probably.
Not sure, maybe, but, and maybe John, but, my recollection of this application, the original application, because there were several iterations, is that the first application actually had tractor-trailer parking on the site delineated, and it was eliminated because this board didn't want to see any tractor-trailer parking on the site. Now, I'm not talking about a tractor-trailer delivery because that is permitted, all right, because that's how
Right.
most of these convenience stores. And I'm looking now at the site plan that's in front of me this evening, and I don't see tractor-trailer parking on this site plan, so there's no area for...
Don't have room, no,
Well,
they
so there's
don't.
no area for a tractor-trailer to park on this site.
That's
So
why
when-
they'll park in front.
Okay, hold on.
Ma'am.
One at a time.
There, you know, when you say tractor-trailers are coming onto the site, perhaps they are coming onto the site, but there's really no place to accommodate them on the site, all right? And Mr. Prime, am I correct on that, that there is no tractor-trailer parking?
You're correct.
All right, I just pulled out the site plan, all right, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
there's not. I mean, their delivery truck is the one that mainly comes in,
Right,
and it pulls along the side of the building, like Michelle says, and it's very noisy and stuff. That's
well,
an issue.
The
My
other thing I
concern
wanted to
is,
answer for you is why do the big trucks not want to go in there? Slow fuel delivery. We don't pump our own gas in the state, but if you go out of state, you do. When you go to get gasoline right now, and if you're on empty and you, let's say, have a 20-gallon tank, it probably takes 4 minutes for you to get fueled up, providing the attendant is right there. But the delivery of the fuel is very slow. The delivery of the fuel is probably at the same ratio coming out of the diesel pump. When tractor trailers who have 100-gallon saddles on both sides, what they call saddle tanks, so they probably carry 200 to 250 gallons of fuel, they want to get in and get out. They can't stand there for 4 minutes for 20 gallons and wait for half an hour. They have high delivery dispensers in truck stops because they want to get them in and get them out. They also don't handle the type of currency that truck drivers use. They don't pay in cash, and they don't pay normally in normal credit cards. There's ComCheck and other things which they don't handle. It's not the right place if you're driving a tractor trailer to try and win a fuel up. it's probably pretty hard, even for the delivery guys, Teresa or whoever, your normal delivery trucks, for them to get in and out, and probably only because they're familiar with it. That's why most of these people park out on Route 9, because it's too tough to go into.
Yeah, a tractor
So what he's
trailer
saying is
couldn't get
that
in.
that's not the traffic that they're going, that's not the kind of pass-by traffic that they're going to attract for fuel. So they're going to attract the smaller version trucks.
But what are you
20-foot
gonna,
box, maybe, yeah.
how are you gonna stop them from going in and out on Old Amboy
Well,
Road?
let me jump in, Mr. Chairman, because, obviously there is a condition now in the approval when it was remanded back from court, stating that there are to be no deliveries from Old Amboy Road. If this board acts favorably on this application, I'm gonna tell you right now that we're gonna reiterate that condition, and it's incumbent, and I don't expect you to stay up all night and count trucks that are going into that site, but if you see a delivery truck coming into that site, you should report that to our zoning officer.
I've been reporting to Wawa.
That's a violation.
Yeah.
And report it to
It
Wawa. I don't believe that Wawa says that they can't control the deliveries on their site. I don't know any property owner that cannot control. And maybe Mr. Prime can address it, but, and maybe what needs to happen is Wawa needs to get the message that they better do a better job at telling their vendors not to come in on Old Amboy Road.
And they do tell the Wawa truck vendors, but not the Coca-Cola
Well-
and the, your other smaller
Maybe they need to go
trucks that
back,
come
maybe they
in.
need to go to Pepsi, all right? And maybe Pepsi will abide by it, but,
Yeah. No,
but that's
I-
something
I-
that the applicant
I
should be doing.
complain, I send in pictures to, verify my, to substantiate what I'm saying. I'm not just blowing smoke.
All right. I don't doubt that you're telling the truth. You swore to tell the truth. I believe you are
I
telling the
do,
truth.
and you know what? I'm very polite to Wawa when I do call them, but again, come on, don't promise me you're gonna do something. Say that you could control it, they're gonna say that a sign's gonna control it. Well, the signs are not controlling anything so far. And again, there's young people there. Guess what? I don't wanna get shot. If I get, in an argument or even a conversation with somebody that's over the road, driver that's coming in, that's tired and who knows what, I'm not going to confront them. It's not wise to confront anybody nowadays. It's a little dangerous.
We thank you.
But anyway, again, my
Thank you.
biggest thing is I feel that the site is too small to accommodate larger trucks. And again, there's always honking and because these
That
trucks that
honking,
are coming right
again,
now
ma'am.
cannot maneuver.
That honking may be from passenger vehicles as well, am I correct?
Oh, it sounds like the big
Oh,
trucks. Because they're in their way, because they can't spin around or turn around. You figure some of these trucks, they can't turn in that area. If you go there on a busy day, you're going to see it. All right?
We thank you, ma'am. Anybody else from the public want to be heard in this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. Mr. Prime?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you for the comments. Just a couple of responses on items which I think we should clarify. Number one, Mr. Sachs just hit it on the head. We will replace all signs that are down or that may need replaced or can't be seen or are not visible, whatever the problem may be. They will be replaced, and we'll agree to a condition of approval that says that if the board acts favorably. Number two, we can control Wawa can control all deliveries. What they're telling the neighbors here is probably an assistant store manager, someone who isn't familiar necessarily with the way that deliveries operate. They can be controlled, and we should do a better job of doing that, and I will make sure that the corporate office hears that, in addition to what Mr. Sachs suggested, which was telling code enforcement. That would get them the message. I'm not trying to get Wawa in any trouble here, but that's the method to go. Tell code enforcement, and they'll get the message when we get a zoning violation. That's number two. Number three, as far as the trucks and fueling, the chair hit it on the head as well a couple minutes ago. Luckily, this is the very end of the diesel program, too. We now have over 300 stores in the chain which have diesel. Back in 2013, 12, it was new, and it was a concern of Wawa's that maybe the tractor trailers would try to fuel up, it would clog up stores. It hasn't happened. They've now got the message. Almost every Wawa fuel store sells diesel now. We don't have any problems with tractor trailers anywhere. They don't try it. Everyone knows what a Wawa is. They'd be crazy to go on and try to fill up here. For most of the reasons the chair just indicated. And even on bigger sites, they don't try it. Here it'd be crazy. That leads me to the size of the sites. and the planner mentioned it, there are bigger stores in town. Those stores are also bigger. We proportionately size this store for the size of the site. Those stores, a typical Wawa is 5,700 square feet. This is 47. Typical Wawa has 8 pumps, 8 MPDs. This has 6. So it is proportionally sized for the size of the site. Just wanted to get that on the record, that it is smaller than your typical Wawa store. And lastly, and as a bit of legality, Mr. Sachs, the definition in your ordinance of fuel sales doesn't prohibit the sale of diesel. It permits, your definition of automobile gasoline station permits the sale of fuel. It doesn't differentiate between gas or diesel. If we came in with a new application for a fuel store, we would probably just put the diesel in, and by course, we just didn't sell it in 2011. It's something that's permitted by code. So I just wanted to make that clear, and I hope I answered most of the questions that the neighbors asked. If there's anything else you'd like me to address or have my professionals address, I'd be happy to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prime. Any comments from Ms. Sawant or Ms. Shapiro? The board members to my right, want to make any final comments? Go ahead.
My comment would be, a lot of the things being brought up are existing problems now in the area, but will Wawa make the commitment that when that tractor trailer pulls into the lot, they will not service it?
Absolutely. That's the attendants are taught to turn them away. But we don't want to put our attendants in harm's way either. And we also don't want the site getting clogged up with tractor trailers. We make our
Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying that they will not do it.
Absolutely, they will not do it. They do not fuel tractor trailers.
And actually, just to follow up.
Sure.
I mean, this site, when it was originally presented, was supposed to have tractor trailer parking. It was eliminated. So there really shouldn't be any tractor trailers even coming onto this site, because they can't park. Wait,
Hold on. I'm going to let you comment, but not at the same time.
There are Wawa stores that have tractor trailers.
Correct. Route 18 has one.
Correct.
Route 34?
A multitude of
That
them
we
do.
feel are more appropriate for tractor trailers to go to. Yes, that's fair
So there
statement.
is no tractor trailer parking on this site. Yeah. There was originally, but it was eliminated. Okay.
Go ahead, come forward. I close the public portion, I'm going to let you make one final comment. And, ma'am, you also want to? Come forward.
Come up, please, ma'am.
We have,
Yeah.
What I want to just make clear is that my concern is not just the tractor trailers. It's all the trucks that you cannot control, even with your little signs, to stop from coming into Old Amboy, in and out of Old Amboy Road. I want to know how you're going to do that.
Ma'am,
And I'm talking about all trucks.
I'm going to do it, because I'm going to put it in as a condition in the resolution that there are to be no deliveries from Old Amboy Road. And I'll even clarify it that Wawa is to take appropriate measures to ensure that their vendors realize that there are to be no deliveries.
Okay, and what
That is-
about-
That is the teeth that we can put to this.
What about the other trucks that are going in there for their coffees and sandwiches?
I cannot prevent a truck from coming in to that site, parking as long as they can fit in one of these parking spaces, all right? And getting a cup of coffee or a sandwich, and we can't prohibit somebody from fueling at a gas pump, either with regular, premium, or whatever, mid-grade or diesel, from parking their vehicle under the canopy and going in for the cup of coffee. You can't prohibit trucks, I can't prohibit all trucks from coming onto the site. There shouldn't be any tractor trailers even coming onto this site, because there's no place for them to park. There's no place for them to park. The original plan did have tractor trailer parking. Looking at this site plan, these spaces are all 10 by 20, 9 by 18,
And as
whatever
part
they
of
are.
our 2011 approval, we did grant Title 39 enforcement to the police department. They can come on and ticket on private property if there's an illegally parked truck.
We were trying to fight there not even being entrance on Old Amboy
remember.
Road as a safety issue.
And
But
that's
they
why the
said
gate-
they had to do it as a safety issue to allow the fire trucks.
Correct.
Well, now they're still a safety issue. You can let fire trucks in there and ambulances. We're asking you to stop the trucks from going in. I don't care whose truck. And you said you can't do it.
I can't stop a truck that somehow gets on Amboy Road.
And
be
there's
it
all.
let me just finish, ma'am. Be it an F-350, which to me is not a truck, but whatever, all right? or being a UPS truck, or a FedEx truck, or a box truck, or a WB, help me here, give me a smaller wheelbase, all right? But not a tractor trailer, all right? So,
No,
but we
I
can
hear
put
you.
some teeth into this, so.
But we are in, right now, Old Amboy Road is a very unsafe road because of American Ford, Wawa, Walmart, all the traffic, supposed to be 25 miles an hour. Nobody goes down there 25 miles an hour except me. The police go down there 40 miles an hour. Every car goes down there 40 miles an hour. The trucks are there, you got trucks going both ways. I have to wait 5 minutes to cross the street to go get my mail. That's ridiculous, and I'm afraid of getting hit by a car. So again, that's more than the Wawa, but there's a traffic issue. And it's a lot more than anybody anticipated.
Thank you, ma'am.
You wanted to make one final comment? I'll let you do so.
Mr. Sachs, can you look into something for me?
Sure.
You said that they took away the tractor trailer parking. Can you make sure that they didn't take away the oversized vehicle parking? I believe it was specifically tractor trailer. I think it was more of the oversized vehicle parking than anything else.
They were larger parking
Because
spaces.
we keep bringing up this tractor trailer thing, and you just said an F-350 is not a truck. That's a big truck. You can put a tow body on that. You can put a box truck on that.
I think Mr. Primo responded.
We would have called it oversized parking if it was originally shown, but it was taken away, like Mr.
It's taken
Sachs
away. It's
said.
oversized parking, yeah. The parking spaces that are there, and I'm sure you'll confirm this, are your standard parking spaces that you
And
would see.
they're your standard parking spaces, correct? There's one other sign that you might want to look at. I might be mistaken because there were so many revisions in this, and I can go through all the paperwork I have because I still have it. I was going to bring it with me, but it was kind of useless at that point. There was also a sign that was supposed to be put on the back lot that said, I believe that you can only make a right, no left turn, so that the cars would not go past the houses. Can someone look into that? Wawa was supposed to put up a sign.
I can't restrict movement on Old Amboy.
I don't think we did
Well,
that.
All American has a sign that says, no trucks past this vehicle, you can only make a turn that way.
The town can do that. I can't as well.
I believe that. I
mean, if they're-
believe, I could be mistaken, but I believe that they were supposed to have a sign that said no left turn out of the back lot.
If there is signage that should have been installed that has not been installed, our staff certainly could look into it on the approved resolution. Sure. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where do we leave off? Mr. Prime, anything?
No, I concluded. Our witnesses are completed. If there's any questions
I'm
of me or
sorry, I
my
was
witnesses,
going
I'd be happy to do
down
it.
Oh, wait, Jim, are you closing the public?
Yeah. What's that?
Motion to close the public.
We did close the public.
Are we closing it again?
Yeah, we're closing it again.
It's closed.
Did I answer your question, Mr. Thompson? I was answering a question at one point. Are we?
As far as the,
Yes.
they're going to turn away
Yes.
people that pull in there to fill
Yes.
up their tank?
And yes, we will.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody coming over to my left?
Do
Coming
we
down?
know of any, what are the gas stations that sell diesel on Route 9?
Oh, I'm sure there's a few. I
I-
think the
yeah.
Speedway does.
Does Exxon? Exxon's right across the street from there.
Petroleum 19, I think, probably sells it.
I honestly, I
across the
mean,
street,
I don't buy it, so I don't pay attention, but
Permitted to. but-
Yeah, I mean, and most traffic is pass-by traffic. When you feel, if you see a gas station, you need gas, you're gonna pull in, wherever that might be. So it is pass-by traffic, so.
anything else on my left? Okay. Mr. Sachs, we come down to,
Yeah, I think this requires a D3 conditional use, and it requires a C variance, and then preliminary and final site plan.
Amended.
Right, amended preliminary and final, correct. So I guess the first one would be the D3.
D3 for conditional use,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Everybody understand?
No, explain it.
So D3 for, it's a conditional use because it's allowed, it's not by right allowed in the ED03 zone, but it is a conditional use which was approved.
Correct.
And now they want to amend to put in the diesel fuel, put another tank in.
The provision that actually violates that conditional use is the fact that we're putting the vent stack, I
Correct.
believe, within the setback.
Correct.
If you consider the vent stack pad a structure. That's what we're doing. That's the actual variance, Mr. Sachs. And we testified, our planner testified to that.
And actually, you also have two existing nonconformities.
That's correct, but we're not changing them.
Right, which are, it's lot size, which obviously is not changing, and your setbacks, which are not changing, so. Or your setback is actually one of the C variances as well. Okay, that's fine.
We're permitted to be there.
Yes.
Our use, and we're permitted to sell diesel.
Right,
Larry.
right.
Lot size is changing.
Pardon me?
With the right-of-way dedication, the lot size is
Going
changing.
from 2.01 to
1.89, I guess. 9.
1.98.
That's
Yeah.
right. I'm sorry, 1.98. You're right. I'm sorry.
That note, yep, okay.
Then we have the landscape area
And
ratio.
the landscaping area ratio. Correct.
So is everybody good on the D3?
Vina, I'm sorry, what would the, you put TBD on here, but what, do we know what it is? Does the planner know? Yeah, we'll find out from him.
Signage, landscape area ratio, setback.
You have it?
Yeah, we're good.
What's the number?
What was the number?
So we're talking the landscape area
Yes.
ratio.
Yes.
So
0.37.
existing is .378 right now. With the modification to the right-of-way or dedication of the additional right-of-way, it changes to .369.
Okay, so it's really a de minimis change. Okay,
But it is one. Thank you.
thank you, okay.
So it's D3, should
D3.
that, should that pass, that we would go to the Cs,
Right.
correct? Yeah, Ms. Gilduff, you're okay with the explanation, right? Does someone want to move in favor or opposed to the D3?
I'll move in favor.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second, roll call, please.
Ms. Chevalier?
No.
Yes.
No. No.
Yes.
Mr. Dewhurst?
Yes.
Chairman Sullivan?
Yes. 4-3. Not enough.
It's 5, right?
4-3.
What do you have, Kim?
I have 3 noes and 4 yeses.
Yeah, I have 4-3.
Okay.
All right, you know what, you don't have to take a vote, I guess, on the C.
Can't get the C without the D.
No.
Right.
All right,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you, Mr.
consideration.
And thank you for your presentation, Mr.
Yep,
Price.
thank you, guys.
And all the professionals.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll stand at recess for 5 minutes. Before I call the meeting back to order, I will say that it's closing in on 10 o'clock. It's about 9 minutes of, for those watching this at home on cable 15. It has to go off the air at 10. The meeting will continue, but at 10 o'clock, the television transmission will stop on that end. I'm sorry, but that is the rules. So if you're watching, we probably won't be saying goodnight because we'll be in the middle of something, but in about 9 minutes, we're going to go off cable TV.
We can share this if we need to. I will be talking about it, so just put it in front of me. Yeah, I'm sorry with that. Just
I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Ms. Silverman, could we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Chevalier?
Here.
Ms. Gilduff?
Here.
Mr. Stroner?
Here. Here.
Mr. Walker.
Here.
Mr. Cooper.
Here.
Mr. Stoner.
Here.
Chairman Sullivan.
Here.
Mr. Sacks.
Here.
Mr. LaPava.
Here.
Mr. Dorsey.
Present.
Ms. Strub. Here.
Mr. Coolio.
Thank you.
Khalid?
Eventually, she's gonna get it right.
He's never gonna say it.
I'm gonna
To the tie, right, right. You know, or Irish.
I'm gonna work on that.
You said that last time.
All right, well, this is a
You
new
did not
year.
work on
This
it.
is a new year.
Good thing he had that short.
All right, let's come to order. This is a matter 39-18Z, Oak Tree Plaza at Old Bridge LLC, located 538 Route 34. It's in the R30 zone, residential major site plan, preliminary and final, non-residential major site plan, preliminary and final with C variance. Steve Goins representing the applicant, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Steve Goins, Giordano Halloran, and Cecil on behalf of the applicant, Oak Tree Plaza at Old Bridge LLC. Does that move away a little bit? So as a board will remember, we were here over the course of 3 hearings last year. We have a resolution of approval dated June 21st, 2018, which granted D1, D4, D5, and some C variances and design waivers for this project, which is a mixed-use development. There's commercial proposed along Highway 34, and then there is also a residential component, 36 residential units in the rear of the property. I'm not going to take too much time. Obviously, our time is limited tonight. We'd like to get through a little bit of testimony, so I'm going to call Sean Delaney as my first witness. He's the project engineer.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name, spelling your last name, professional.
Sure. Sean, S-E-A-N, Delaney, D-E-L-A-N-Y, licensed professional engineer in state of New Jersey, principal with Bowman Consulting.
Mr. Delaney is known to all the board members, and we recognize his expertise.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so he was the professional engineer for the first portion of this application.
I will say.
Oh,
other
good,
thing.
that's a good point. So
I
Mr.
do have to
Delaney,
qualify myself as a planner, since I will be doing some planning testimony today, too. Licensed professional planner since 2008 in New Jersey on C and D variances throughout the state, most recently in Perth Amboy for some use variances.
Thank you for being forthright.
Being offered as for engineering and planning.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you very much.
So, before, Mr. Delaney, before you start, I would point out, too, that we did get a review letter from Environmental Resolutions, Inc., dated January 3rd, 2019. A few of those comments in that letter require some testimony, which Mr. Delaney and our traffic engineer, John Ray, will address. The remainder of them, in terms of plan review comments and things like that, we will agree to make those changes. So we'll comply with all the comments in that letter. Mr. Delaney?
Certainly. Good evening. I'm going to refer to the first exhibit up there. I'm going to mark that as A1. 110. It is entitled Oak Tree Plaza Aerial Exhibit, dated 1/10/19, prepared by my office. Just showing the surrounding, the subject site in white in the center, located along New Jersey State Highway Route 34. To the north is Sheila Court behind us. To the, north and south, right? Yep. To the east is Highview Terrace. Well, to the west, also the intersection with Sheila Court as well. Property is identified as block 11252.14, lot 21.11. It's 6.3 acres in area, irregularly shaped, almost triangular in site. It was an old nursery and supply company with currently access off of Route 34. And there were 2 environmentally sensitive areas that were identified on the property. The approved LOI was submitted as part of the follow-up after the application was submitted originally, which had 2 features in the the southwest corner and the northeast corners. I believe I have my map upside down here. Both were deemed isolated. The one feature at the back of the pond was originally a state open water. It was reclassified by the DEP. Both features were enlarged since the initial hearing on the bifurcated application that we presented. We have submitted, I believe, an application to the DEP to fill a portion of those areas as part of the project, and that application is pending review and approval by the DEP. As was testified during the bifurcated hearings 6 months ago, site topography runs the high point down the center, splits towards Route 34 and towards the residences along Sheila Court to the rear south of us. Site was zoned R30. Surrounding uses to the north, Canyon Woods multifamily, east Sheila Court, and some commercial uses to the west, a single-family dwelling at the corner with undeveloped lands, and then south, the single-family homes behind us. We go to the next exhibit. Thank you. The next exhibit will be A2, will be an Oak Tree Plaza site plan rendering of the site layout, layout and dimensioning, and landscape plans that were submitted as part of the application to the board, just colored up, showing the features and the proposed uses on site. And I'll do most of my testimony off of this sheet tonight. As was talked about, we were approved for 17,780 square feet of retail within 2 buildings, each having 8,890 square feet, and 36 apartments, in one 3-story building to the rear of the site. 14 one-bedrooms, 23 two-bedrooms, and 2 3-bedrooms, with the required set-aside for affordable housing in the building. The units will be rental apartments, so we're only required 15% for the COA aspect. Access to the site is at the center of the property, opposite the Canyon Woods driveway. It's a divided entrance per RSIS because of the residential aspect in the back. On-site circulation is a 30-foot drive aisle between the 2 retail buildings, and it's 24-foot wide in all other locations. It is accessible for a garbage and fire truck. This layout is very similar to what was approved as part of the use variance plan. Previously, a couple minor modifications. Nothing really changed in terms of the retail aspect. The rear of the site, where the wetlands were in that southwest corner by the pond, because of that, we had to pull the parking area and that dead end on the far southwestern corner further towards Route 34, which pushed the other side of it a little closer to the residence on lot 21.12. It also had to extend some of the parking to the east of the building, or to the left side of it, looking at the plan, towards the retail, towards the basin. That got a little longer that way to accommodate some spaces that were lost in that corner as well. Circulation that was presented previously had fire trucks circulating the site, garbage trucks coming through the same patterns, same hammerheads and stuff as laid out right now, so that we expect the circulation to be exactly the same, be able to provide access for both fire trucks and emergency vehicles as well as garbage trucks. And we'll work with your engineer if he needs to see those revised templates again, we can provide them. Maintaining the 20-foot fire lanes on the site on the west side of the property off of Route 34 along the portion of retail building B, back to the residential and along the rear of the residential as was originally previously presented and proposed. We do have one recreation open space area, which is to the left of the parking lot behind retail building B. Initial submission that we we were looking at maybe needing that for a basin. That was taken out, and just an open space grassed area that will be used for passive recreation by the residents of the apartment complex. Walking trails, seating, stuff like that. We're not providing any play equipment or anything, any formal type of equipment in that area. 3 trash enclosures proposed, similar locations. They are all one for each building proposed on the site to handle both trash and recycling. Will be done by a private hauler. We do have, when we started doing the design of the site, we had to add some retaining walls due to the site topography. Route 34 slopes significantly from the west side to the high point to the east side. So the center of the site is kind of the midpoint of the grading, and it kind of flattens, plateaus on both sides. So retail building B to the west, it actually sits below Route 34, while retail building A sits slightly above Route 34 because of the grading. As a result of building A, we had to add a retaining wall down from the driveway entrance to the east, down towards the detention basin. That wall is 4 feet high, just inside the property line. Kept it as a small height as possible, 4 feet, wouldn't require any structural calculations for zoning requirements. That material will also be of a material that's similar to the buildings and/or, an earthy type tone, so it's not an eyesore. It will be decorative in nature to make sure that we maintain the appearance of the center and not do anything to draw away from that. We are proposing some fencing on site as well. There will be a 6-foot vinyl fence along the entire south of the property line adjacent to the residence. We're also adding some 6-foot vinyl fences to the parking areas to the rear of the retail buildings. That will be screening from the residents in those parking areas to the residents to provide a little privacy, also prevent glare from headlights and those aspects from getting back there. Parking proposed, retail requires 89 spaces. We have 105 proposed. We're a little overparked. 10 by 20 spaces are required. We have a combination of 10 by 18s and 9 by 18s on site. We were granted a waiver for that previously. With the layout and the location of those parking spaces have not changed for the commercial aspect. The residential aspects are all 9 by 18 in accordance with RSIS standards. 70 spaces are required there, and we are proposing 70 in the location. We comply with the required handicap parking accessibility numbers as well. 5 are required for the retail portions. We have 6, and we need 3 for the residential, and 3 are proposed.